is Jordan, and today I'm going to be talking about my favorite books of 2018. I cannot believe it's already ending. It's the last day today as I'm filming this video, and I've just read so many good books this year. I didn't have a lot of disappointments, but it was really hard for me to narrow down a list. But I picked 15 books just because I cannot narrow it down even more, and I have some book reviews for some of these books on the list, and I'll link the book reviews that I've done down below. But without further ado, let's get started on my favorite books of this year. Coming at number 15 is The Hazelwood by Melissa Elbert. I actually listened to this on audiobook, and I really enjoyed it, even though I got confused along the way. But other than that, it was a really good read for me, and I know there's a sequel coming out, which I can't wait for that, and I understand that not a lot of people enjoyed it, but I think this was a solid read for me. That's why it's on my top 15 list. Coming at number 14 is The Wicked Deed by Shea Ernshaw. I just read this within 3 days. It was crazy, and I end up loving it, and I would recommend this to anybody who's looking for a Halloween read or want to read something that reminds them of their favorite Halloween films like Hocus Pocus. That's what's basically what it is, and there's a movie adaptation coming out, and I can't wait to see that because I've read this really quickly, and it just made me excited about the movie adaptations, which I did not know about until like after it came out. So I definitely want to read the movie adaptation, and I just love this book, not just because of its beautiful color, or cover I should say, and underneath the jacket is beautiful, and the whole book was a really great read, and I just can't recommend this enough. Coming at 13 is The Lunar Chronicles with Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, and Winter. I read the whole series this year, which I'm really happy about that I actually marathon this series. I love them so much. I actually listened to this on audiobook, and then it's a great audiobook. I'm listening to Stars Above, which is technically a companion novel to the series, but I'm loving it so far, and I just love the series so much that I'm picturing this as a TV show. I know a lot of people picture this as film, but I think it would fit more of a TV show. So yeah, and I love it so much that The Lunar Chronicles is becoming one of my all-time favorite series. Coming at number 12 is To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. I love this so much. I even watched the book-to-movie adaptation of it, and I love it so much, and I want to watch it again, and it makes me want to read the sequel, and I have not read the sequel yet, but I really want to so badly, and I just love all the characters and the story. I just love this so much, and of course I can't I had to put it on my top favorite books of this year just because of how good it is, and so is the movie, and I just love everything about it, and I can't wait until the sequel comes out, because the sequel is becoming to a movie, which I'm also really excited about, and I just need to read a sequel so I will be prepared for the next movie. Coming at number 11 is Umberland by Wendy Spinelli. This Everland trilogy is becoming one of my favorite series as well. This is the second book to Everland, and it's a retelling of Alice in Wonderland. I also read this really quickly, and I just love it as much as the first book. And I have not read Ozland, which is the last book of the trilogy, which is right there on my shelves, right next to Tinkerbell, and they're green, so they match. But anyways, I love this series so much. I wish it was more than a 3-book series, but I'm excited for the conclusion of the series, so I know what happens, and it's a retelling of The Wizard of Oz, as you can tell by the title, Ozland, and this is one of my favorite sequels from all the books that I've read, and I just can't wait to finish this series, and even though I'm sad that the series is ending, or ended. Coming into number 10 is A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallaro. This book really surprised me. It's a Sherlock Holmes retelling, and I honestly was surprised by how much I like it. I also read this on audiobook, so it's also a good audiobook, and I highly recommend it, and I really want to read the sequel, The Last of August, which I have not read yet, and I know the third book just came out this year called A Case of Jamie, I think. If Rocky is watching this video, she'll be like, oh my gosh, why are you forgetting this series, because that's her favorite books, but, and I highly recommend her channel, and I'll link her channel down below. But anyways, this is one of her favorite books, and I thank her for recommending it, because I end up loving it, and I want to read the sequel so badly, and I definitely want to continue on with the series just because how good this contemporary mystery novel it is. Coming in number 9 is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerri Maniscalco. I was surprised by this book because from the cover of it, it looked like a horror novel, but it's a historical fiction mystery, and it does have a little bit of horror, but I end up loving it, and this really surprised me, and it makes me want to read Hunting Prince Dracula so badly because how good the book is, and I've read this maybe within a week, I don't know, but I end up loving it. I love the characters, and I love the world, and surprise, surprise, historical fiction is I'm really picky when it comes to historical fiction, but I'm glad that I picked this up because I end up loving it so much, and I can't wait to read Hunting Prince Dracula. Coming in number 8 is My Lady Jane by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jodi Meadows. I love this so much. I want to read My Plain Jane so badly, and it's a Jane Eyre retelling. Wow, this is a retelling of Jane the Grey. I forgot how long she was queen. Oh my gosh, I literally read this like a couple months ago, and I ended up loving it. But anyways, I also listened to this on audiobook, and I could not stop laughing, and I love the audiobook so much that I want to read the next book on audiobook. And this is another historical fiction that surprised me, but I also like the time period that takes place, so that makes me love it even more, and I just cannot help but laugh and laugh and laugh as I was reading this book, and I highly recommend this to anybody who's looking for another historical fiction and another historical fiction to listen to on audiobook. Coming in at number 7 is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I honestly heard the news that there's going to be a sequel, and I literally thought it's going to be a standalone, and I'm really excited about it. And the book-to-movie adaptation came out this year. I didn't see it in theaters, but I saw it when it came out on Blu-ray and DVD, and I end up loving it. I know a lot of people complain about it not following along with the book and everything, but for me it's like I did not see what people were complaining about, and please don't send me hates on the comments, but I love Ready Player One so much that, like, and after I heard about the sequel, I'm excited and nervous about it, but I definitely love the movie as much as I love the book, and I just can't wait to read more dystopians that features virtual reality or just any dystopians in general, because this is one of my favorite dystopians of all time other than The Hunger Games. Coming in number 6 is Sea Witch by Sarah Henning. Oh my gosh, this is becoming one of my favorite fairy tale retellings of all time. I read this within 3 days. I could not stop reading it because of what was happening in the book, and this was a perfect villain origin story novel. I loved it so much, and I literally cried at the end, and I can't stop thinking about it. It makes me want to cry right now, but I read this for the Fairy Tale-a-thon along with my other co-hosts, which I'll link their channels down below, and I loved it so much that I'm like, I want to read more Little Mermaid retellings or villains origin stories other than Disney's version of their villain origin stories, just because this was perfect and it lined up with the original fairy tale really well, and I just can't stop thinking about it, and it makes me want to read it again because I love it so much. Coming in at number 5 is The Book Jumper by, I can't, for so many times I've mentioned this book on my channel, I can't pronounce the author's name. I'm sorry, I don't want to butcher it, but this is one of the most underrated books that I've read this year, and it's about reading, and people would jump into books and interact with their favorite characters. What's not so great about that? I buddy read this with, I forgot who I buddy read this, but this was an awesome book, a great fantasy, and I recommend this to anybody who, like, wants to recommend this to a reader or a non-reader, because this is such a great story, especially when makes me want to become a book jumper myself. Like, I want to be a book jumper so I can jump into my favorite books and interact with my favorite characters just because I love them so much. And I recommend this to everybody because you need to read it. It's so underrated. Please pick this up. Coming in number 4 is The Neverland Wars by Audrey Greyhouse. Oh my gosh, this is another underrated book that you guys should read. It's a Peter Pan retelling, as you can tell by the title. But it's nothing like any other Peter Pan retellings that I've read. It kind of takes place like in the present day, but like after the Peter Pan story. But there is war between Neverland and reality, and I like wanted to finish the series. I'm still on book 3, but I have not read it yet because it's not available in my library, and I actually rent this from my library before I bought my own copy, and you guys need to read it. If you're looking for another Peter Pan retelling, please read this! It's so good, and I've read this really quickly as much as all the other books I've enjoyed on this list. Please read it! Coming in number 3 is The Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand. Oh my gosh, this is if you guys don't know what this is about, it's a Christmas Carol retelling, and this is nothing like any retellings that I've read in my life, and I love the story so much. I know some people, I'm not sure how many people don't like it, but this is becoming one of my favorite Christmas Eve reads of all time, and this is worth reading every year for me because I love A Christmas Carol. It's one of my favorite classics, especially when it's around Christmas, and this is becoming one of my favorite books. And it's the funny thing is, a lot of last books that I've read at the end of the year always becomes my top reads of the year. But I just love this so much that I had to put this on my list because I love it so much, and it's worth reading around every Christmas season. Coming in number 2 is Heart of Iron by Ashley Poston, and you guys know I've talked about this book a lot on my channel, and the sequel's coming out next year, which I'm really excited about, and I need it in my hands because I want to know what happens, and I just love this so much, and this is becoming one of my favorite books of all time, and Ashley Poston is becoming one of my favorite writers, and I've read Geekerella by her, and I just love Heart of Iron so much, and I read this within a week, or I don't remember how long I've read it, but I just love it so much, and I need Soul of Stars in my hands really badly because I want to know what happens, and I love this book so much. And now for my number 1 favorite book of this year, drumroll please, Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller. You probably saw this coming because I've talked about this book a lot on my channel, but it became one of my favorite books of all time just because there is a piratey story and there's not a lot out there, and I just love the main character, Alosa, and I just love everything about this book. And I have not read Daughter of the Siren Queen, which I'm still kicking myself for not reading it, and it's the last book of the duology, and it's the first duology I've ever read. When I'm finished with Daughter of the Siren Queen, this is another underrated book that people should know about because it's such a great read, and I definitely would recommend this to everybody who's looking for another fantasy read or a different kind of fantasy that there is not a lot out there. I recommend this a lot because it's one of my favorite books. It's the number 1 favorite book for me this year, and I just want everybody to read this because it's so good, and I need to read the sequel. So that's all for my favorite books of the 2018. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up and comment down below some of your favorite books this year. And I want to know because I've read so many good books this year that it was really hard for me to narrow it down because there's so many that I really enjoyed. But anyways, if you want to follow me on social media, I have Facebook under Lost Reader, and I have Twitter and Instagram on Lost Reader 19. I also have Goodreads, which I'll link down below. If you don't want to miss any of my new videos, hit subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and Happy New Year, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!